listening to Combat Sports UK.
Combat Sports UK.
Rob Smith here for Combat Sports UK, and I'm here joined by Jake Wills as he prepares to fight for the Unity Fighting Championships flyweight title. Jake, how are we doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you.
So you've got a massive fight coming up. You're fighting Nayem Hoque for the Unity Fighting Championships flyweight title. So talk to me about that matchup. What do you make of Nayem as an opponent?
I watched a few bits of him. I watched his interview that he did about me, and I feel the same way he said about me. He's well-rounded. He's comfortable everywhere. He doesn't really get put anywhere where he's uncomfortable. I've watched a few bits. I've not overly watched him, but I've seen a few bits, and he's happy everywhere.
And so is this your first title fight?
Yeah, first title fight and first fight on Unity.
So how much are you looking forward to that, fighting for a title and fight on Unity for the first time?
Yeah, nice. I love fighting on promotion for the first time. Like I fought on Golden Ticket in March for the first time, and it's nice to feel different shows and how they do different things. But then fighting for a title as well on the show for the first time, like it's amazing. Like I'm really looking forward to it.
And so for this one, you kind of come into enemy territory. Are you looking forward to shutting up the crowd?
No, like it is what it is. Like and that stuff don't really bother me. Like it will be what it will be. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned there how you haven't really watched much tape on your opponent. But is it something do your coaches watch much tape on Nayem, or is it something you do, or do you focus more on your own game?
I've watched a bit. I've watched a couple of his fights. Like I don't like to overly watch it because then you can start worrying about it too much and stop focusing on myself. But like I've seen what I need to see and what I need to be aware of and what I can capitalize with, and then my coaches will watch it. But that's all I need to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And so you mentioned how you watched the interview that I did with Nayem, and obviously he was very respectful towards you. He appreciates how the level that you're at, because his original opponent, once again, no disrespect to him, but he wasn't at the level that you are, and he expects a much harder. He said this fight could easily go 5 rounds. He expects a finish, and he said third or fourth, but he could easily see it being like a 5 round war. Do you see the same, or do you see yourself getting a stoppage early on in the fight?
Nah, it's hard to say before I've got in there with him, but I think it could go a few ways. I think I could pick him apart, mix it up, mix my takedown, use my striking, and frustrate him. And then maybe if a finish comes, or maybe it's 5 rounds hard fight and I get it done just about, you know. But he's a tough opponent. Like I'll have to find out when I'm in there with him. But he's good, man. Like he's good.
And so when I asked him about what impressed you, what impressed him the most about yourself, he said that your ability to overcome adversity. So I want to ask you the same question. What about Nayem impresses you the most?
Same sort of thing, but like he's game. Like he's not like scared of a fight. You know, like from the first bell to the last, he's looking to fight. Like I watched his fight on FCC, and like he was coming for that kid. Like he wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Like he wants to fight.
And so I was looking through your socials when I was like doing some prep for this interview. I've seen you just come back from Thailand recently. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was amazing. Training in Bangtao, like there's so many bodies out there, so many different bodies, and it was also great for my confidence. Like I was training with super high level guys, and knowing that like I can hang with these guys gives me a lot of confidence that I've come back with, improving when I'm on the mat here. Like when I trained in my first like sparring session back yesterday, and I felt amazing. Like more of like obviously the fitness from training the heat, like up my skill set, and then also just the confidence thing, like being able to hang with them guys and coming back here, it's given me mad confidence.
And so what's the training culture like over in Thailand? Because I've not had the pleasure of going yet. I've always wanted to visit. What's the training culture like over there?
Well, it depends how you want it. Like for me personally, I was doing some striking PTs with a guy called Connor, who's a phenomenal boxing coach. A few Muay Thai PTs, and then the 4 p.m. classes from the Hickman brothers will be like either sparring, MMA grappling, or wrestling. Then I do my jiu-jitsu either in the morning or at night. But it was amazing. Like there's some great techniques and then some great guys on the mat as well.
So will you use the skills that you learned over there and apply it to your training camps going forward in your career?
Yeah, that's the plan. I think I'm going to go back out there at the end of the year as well. So.
Oh, very nice. And so talk to me, how has training been going for this fight? As we get close to fight night, do you start to ramp things up a little bit more, or do you start to kind of rein things in a little bit?
Well, I'm always like in the gym training hard, training at other gyms. So like I'm always working hard, but then this trip to Thailand, it's just boosted my fitness, boosted my confidence. So I'll say like for the next, 2 weeks, I'll keep the pace the same and then slowly start to bring it down last week.
Okay, and so talk to me about you, because when I first interviewed someone, I'd always kind of gauge what got you into MMA, what inspired you to start?
Well, I first went to a kickboxing gym when I was 4 or 5, I think. and I hated it. Didn't want to be there, and then went back like a year later, and then like I can't really remember too much, but like we're just going every week, and then slowly was going more and more, and then it became a consistent thing, and then from kickboxing after COVID it turned to MMA, and then from there it's just been like a constant thing, you know.
And so what made you go back? Because obviously you said that you hated it at first. What made you decide to go back?
I think like I was always a bit of a chubby kid, so then we got to a point where my dad was like, "No, we've got to do something." So he took me back to the gym, and then from there, I just fell in love with it.
So were you not like your traditional kid who's like most kids just play football, don't they?
Yeah, football, Xbox, going out to the park. That was about it, and then found kickboxing, and then found MMA.
And so who are certain fighters that you like to watch, and who can you give an example of say your fighting style? Who could you base it on
Yeah.
a natural real life fighter?
Um, Someone that I've been watching a lot at the minute is Volkanovski for his footwork and his outside fighting. Him and Max Holloway. They're two people I'm big fans of. And then someone more like English and more around our area is Jordan Vucenic. I'm a big fan of Jordan Vucenic's style as well. Those three are three people I like to base off the way they mix the martial arts.
And so what are your goals? Obviously, I know you're still very early on in your career. You're still only is it 18 years old? But as I read
18,
on
yeah.
Tapology, born in 2007, but that makes me feel
Yeah.
so old, by the way. I'm born in 2001, and I'm starting to feel old. I'm usually people. I was always the person who's like, I make people feel old. Now I'm starting now I'm the one who feels old. It's awful, mate. I don't like it. And so, what are your goals in MMA? Like, do you have like a certain amount of fights that you want to have amateur, then you look to go pro, or
Um,
is it just when you feel ready?
I'm not in. I try not to look too far ahead, like
Mhm.
sort of like one thing at a time. Like, but maybe pro end of next year, start of the year after maybe, and then obviously everyone's plan is UFC and climb your way to the top. But I don't want to look too far ahead, you know, because I mean I just want to enjoy it for the moment, and it'll be what it'll be. But you know, eventually I think everyone's goal is top of the game, whether it's UFC, PFL. I mean,
Yeah. I think there's one key thing you mentioned there is you want to enjoy it. I was speaking
yeah,
to the coach of SBG South Shields, former cage warriors
yeah,
champion Alex Enland, and he was saying
yeah.
how nowadays you see so many fighters who don't do it for the love of the sport.
No, no,
All they
no.
really care about, all they want to do is make it to the UFC and get. They see Conor McGregor and all these big
Yeah,
names earning so much money. That's all they care about.
yeah.
Whereas he thinks if you really want to make it in this sport, you have to love it. And so would
Yeah,
you
and
say
there's
that's the
no
case for
rush.
yourself?
There's no rush. Like I say, I'm still 18. I'm young. I don't want to be thinking like, oh, I want to get to UFC. I want to do this. Like, there's no rush. Like, even like at the minute, I feel like I'm fighting constantly, which is great. But like, even if that didn't happen, like, it's not a problem. You know, like I'm in no rush to get to the top. I know eventually it will come. You know.
And with the Nayem matchup, he's I think he's around a similar age. And I said I think
Yeah,
he's a very similar records. I think you're 4-2, he's 4-1. Very similar records. I think it's on paper it's one of the best fights on the card. It's such an evenly matched fight.
yeah,
And fighting someone who's around your age range, because I feel like with a lot of these younger fighters who I see fighting these amateur shows, they end up having to fight people who are quite a bit older. Are you
yeah.
happy to fight someone who's around your age range and who's also around the same skill level as you?
Yeah, well, I was speak to a few people about this, more in like grappling comps, but it's the same with MMA. I find like the people around my age are normally harder competition than the older ones because the younger ones are normally like the more hungry, wanting to make it to the top, whereas the older ones are more like not hobbyists, but like sort of just found the sport a couple of years ago, like whereas the ones around my age are always the ones that are like game, wanting to make it to the top and been training for years every day.
The way I kind of look at it is, and he's the fighter who always use for the example for this has just got signed to UFC, and Aaron Pico. I always kind of see him as he was like the first person to kind of have that. He was the full mixed martial arts package. Like early in the sport, it was everyone
Yeah,
kind of had a set discipline. You'd have like your
yeah, yeah,
strikers, your grapplers. He was kind of the first person who could do it all, and I think
yeah.
that's why you see nowadays that the younger guys are kind of better because they've grew up as martial artists, not just a
Yes.
kickboxer.
Well,
You,
it's
you've
more
got
of like MMA is more of a sport now. Before it was sort of like you do one thing and then eventually you find MMA. I feel like it's more like MMA is a thing on its own now, if you know what I mean.
yeah, 100%, and I think. And so, talk to me. Obviously, you've mentioned how you've never fought in Unity before, and you are coming to enemy territory. But I think when you're in there and you're fighting, have you fought in enemy territory before? Have you always fought close to home?
Mm, Not that I can remember. No, it's always been a bit far away from me, a bit far away from the opponent.
And so that stuff doesn't really play a factor for you. So what's it like when you're in there? Because I've never had a fight. I've never really understood what it's like being in there. Can you like hear the crowd? Or are you so dialed in? It's kind of
Um,
just all you can hear is your coaches.
so for me, it's as I've had more fights that I hear a lot more. So like my first fight, didn't really hear anything, and then as I've gone on, like my last fight, I felt really present. Like I was hearing things from the crowd. Obviously, I was hearing my coaches. So I feel like the more fights you have, the more present and like the more it becomes just like a sparring session, if that makes sense.
Hmm. And so for people who may have haven't had the pleasure of watching you fight before, how can you sum up your fighting style?
Um, in and out, elusive, hard to hit, and mix the martial arts well.
And so and before I let you go, can we get an official prediction for the fight?
I think picking my part in and out, use my footwork, and then, like I say, mix the martial arts. And if a finish comes, a finish comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think I'll find a way to the victory.
Well, Jake, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a
No,
real
thank you
pleasure
for
speaking to
having
you,
me.
mate, and I wish you the best of luck on May 17th.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.